Let's take a look at the following problem. Find the range of the function y equals to 5 minus the square root of 16 minus x squared. Generally speaking, finding the range of a function is more complicated than finding the domain of the function. But sometimes one can find the range of the function by thinking about the ranges of different components of the formula that defines the function, as in this example. So first we think about the possible values, in other words the range of the term x squared. A number squared can only be 0 or more. A squared number cannot be negative. So we conclude that x squared takes values 0 or above. Next, we think about the possible values of the expression under the square root, which is 16 minus x squared. Since we just said that x squared takes values 0 or above, 16 minus x squared will take values 16 or less. Let's think about this. If x squared is positive, we're subtracting from 16 a positive number, and the result is going to be less than 16. If x is 0, x squared is also 0, and 16 minus 0 is going to give us 16. But the point is, 16 minus x squared cannot exceed 16. Now, if we look at the equation for our function, once we computed 16 minus x squared, the next step in calculating the value of y would be to take the square root of 16 minus x squared. And let's remember that we can't take square roots of negative numbers. So if 16 minus x squared happens to be negative, then we cannot proceed with calculating the square root, and therefore will not obtain a value for y. The function will not be defined for such values of x. Therefore, negative values of 16 minus x squared are irrelevant for our function here. The only relevant values are the ones between 0 and 16. Next, when we take the square root of 16 minus x squared, since the number 16 minus x squared ranges from 0 to 16, the square root of 16 minus x squared will range between square root of 0, which is 0, and the square root of 16, which is 4. And so we conclude that square root of 16 minus x squared is a number that is somewhere between 0 and 4. Next, once if we look at the formula for our function, once we've computed square root of 16 minus x squared, next to calculate the y values, we need to subtract square root of 16 minus x squared from 5. In other words, when computing y value, we're subtracting from 5 a number that is between 0 and 4. And therefore, the result will be anywhere between 5 minus 4, which gives us 1, and 5 minus 0, which gives us 5. So in other words, y values will range between 1 and 5, and this is the range of our function.